On this episode, I sit down with one of my old fraternity brothers to talk about whatever is on his mind, which is usually fascinating. My guest is Aaron, known among my brothers simply as Oatley. Aaron isn't your typical fraternity brother. In school, it wasn't about parties as much as it was about studying. While the rest of us were getting wasted, he wasn't wasting time, earning his accounting degree and eventually becoming a data analyst. So I pick his brain about AI, the government, and politics. Tricky subjects that Aaron navigates thoughtfully, which I really appreciate. We also talk about barbecue, and if you want to do it right, you gotta serve it all day and smoke it all night. Let's jump in. So, tell me about this barbecue, bro. How did you get into the barbecue thing?
It's my buddy's business, right? And I actually, in your questionnaire, that's what I wrote about on that.
I saw that, yeah.
And so he and I were roommates at Texas State our freshman year, my first semester, and he lasted about maybe a month, and just kind of decided he was just like, I can't do this. I'm just blowing my parents' money and blah, blah, blah. And he's feeling guilty about it, and he wasn't going to class. And so he quits. Right. Then I took a little hiatus from school after my first sophomore semester, and we became roommates again. And anyway, from that point on until his early 30s, he was just kind of floating around, like going from job to job. And, you know, he had my boss is an idiot syndrome. Like he's the type, he can't work for other people. And so anyway, I was always worried about him because he'd have a decent job and he'd be talking it up. And then the next thing it'd be like, screw that job. That guy was an idiot, you know? And then one day he's like, yeah, I don't know what to do. So I've been just like making breakfast burritos, and I go to the office buildings downtown Denver and I sell them out of a cooler. And he's clearing like 400 a day on breakfast burritos. Right. And he's getting up at 4 a.m. making breakfast burritos every day, keep them hot in a cooler, kind of like the tamale lady that comes around. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that was his start. And then he I don't know how it all came about, but he decides he wants to, do this barbecue business. And so he buys like a $5,000 barbecue trailer, like a pit barbecue. And it probably holds, I don't know, 100 pounds of meat at least, maybe more. And he calls me up and he's like, hey, so I have an exclusive event at the X Games in Aspen. And the guy who I was partnering with, who supposedly had all the barbecue recipes and all of this, he basically flaked out on me. And I know you barbecue at home, can you fill in? And I'm like, well, okay, I'll do it. And part of this, background, when I was in college, I was waiting tables, working in kitchens. So the kitchen is not a strange place for me. And then, I smoke meat on my own. So now, this is a whole nother thing, kicking it up when we've got, 30 pork butts on and 20 briskets. But so he calls me out, and over about a week and a half, he and I are meeting with Cisco reps to get the food. And then we up and haul off to Aspen with this big diesel refrigerator truck in the middle of February. Right. And, we end up setting up at the base of the hill where all the X Games are going on, and just proceed to kill it. But the thing that they don't tell you about barbecue is if you're going to serve barbecue all day, you got to smoke it all night. And so we had this whole shift, we had a bunch of people working with us, but we had this whole shift thing worked out where one of us stayed up all night and smoked the brisket so that and the pork butt so that the next day everybody could serve it. And I don't know. It was just a whole experience. And that's how kind of he refined the business over the years. Like now when he does it, he does sausages and turkey legs, and he fills that smoker with turkey legs and then grills sausages on a grill out front. And I mean, like this past weekend, Denver Oktoberfest, you know, I think we did like probably about 22 grand this last weekend, and he does really well with it.
You said a while back that he was the kind of guy that can't work for nobody else because it's always the boss, right?
Right.
Okay. Am I wrong to say that you feel like the similar kind of guy, right?
I'm not. It's not that I can't work for. I have no problem working for other people.
But you had a job in which you work for somebody else.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
tons.
you are kind of that guy that like doesn't want to work for somebody else, though, right?
You know, it's just the right person. Like at my last job, I didn't mind my boss. I mean, we had some disagreements about certain things, but I'm not really maybe when I was younger, I guess I don't have the drive I used to.
Tell me about you, because I don't know anything.
Okay.
And in the sense of like I guess you pledged the fraternity, because that's how we met, right?
Right.
So you pledged the fraternity and then you leave, I guess.
Right.
And then I pledge while you're gone.
Yeah, I think you pledged the semester I left.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you show back up.
Right.
But then you're going to school all the time and we don't see you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so okay, what did you go to school for?
So I got an accounting degree.
Okay.
And then of course, when you were in the fraternity and I came back to school, I was commuting from San Antonio, which is
Oh, really?
And then on to top that, I was going to school 2 days a week. So I would go like either Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday, depending on the semester and how my courses worked out.
Right.
And man, I was there from like, I was the guy, I had 8 o'clock classes. And in one case, my last class was at like 7 p.m.
Wow.
And so, but basically all day, Tuesday and Thursday, I would be there all day going to class. And I did most of my studying on those same days, like between classes in the library. SIGTAWs never went to the library to study, trust me. But if they did, they would occasionally see me sleeping on a couch if I didn't have anything, just to catch up. But yeah, that was kind of my thing. And then from there, you know, the business department there at Texas State had really good liaison with the business world. And so like I did all this interviewing with various accounting firms right there at the school. And I ended up getting hired by USDA OIG, and I worked there for 21 years.
So you do accounting?
Not really. I was an auditor. So
Okay.
and then about 10 years into my career, I kind of got into data analytics. I got into data analytics, and so that moved me further away from the actual auditing to where I was just, you know, mostly providing data for the auditors.
Okay, so what kind of data do you provide for the auditors?
So like depends on the job. Like if they were auditing crop insurance, I was pulling crop insurance data together, you know, and it could be anything from like shape files for like maps to, you know, flat data that tells you indemnities and what do you call the premiums and stuff like that. And then
You getting this from the internet?
no, the USDA keeps all that. It was Federal Crop Insurance Corporation.
So you're going through paperwork?
No. This is like, you know, data. I don't like
Not like data on the internet, but data to data inside of
right. Like yeah. So it was on a server, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
necessarily the internet though. Probably now you can pull it on the internet, but back then it was, you know, I'd either have somebody give me a file, like some kind of a text file or an Excel, probably, and then we had some analysis software that we'd feed it into, right?
Really?
And then, you know, as I got older or I got more mature in the data analytics, you know, I moved into Python and R, and there's this newer one. It's a visual graphic analytics thing that's called UltraX that we use too. So
What does it do?
So it's kind of, instead of you know, Python and R is code, right? You're coding everything. This one has like a canvas, and you drag tools onto it, And one of the tools is like a data loading tool. And so you drag the data loading tool. So it's very, visually graphic,
like
right?
GUI, like the GUI of
yes, definitely GUI, and so, and then, instead of like coding out, like some statistical formula, there's a tool that does that statistics thing, right?
Yeah.
And so you drag those onto the canvas, and then, instead of reading linear code, you have this workflow, and all the tools have these connecting lines. And so you connect them all together, kind of like Legos or something, and or like a Hot Wheels track, and you the data flows through the tools, and in the end you kick it out to something else and put it in like Power BI or something like that to present it. Just depends. Wow. But it's like complicated but super simple at the same time. When you first see it, if you're a little bit, what the heck am I going to do with this? But you start using the first tool, and it's like, oh, this is super easy, and it's a lot easier than remembering 15 million different lines of code, which I think most coders don't know that much. We use a lot of these days AI, and then in the old days you'd have a book, or a website where you could go and say, how do I do this? But now, shoot, if you're smart enough, and I am, you can tell AI, hey, this is what I want to do, and I want to do it in this language, and it will write better code than I can. So,
talk to me about how you're feeling about AI.
I like AI. I'm not scared of it. I know how it works. People. So, the big thing is, it's going to come self-actualize. It's going to realize that it exists, right? And then it's going to take over the world. Terminator type stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is it doesn't. The intelligence part of AI is not. It's not really intelligent. It's logical and mathematical, and so. AI will never give you the right answer. It always gives you the most popular answer. Sure. And so behind the scenes, say you're recording all of our words right now, right? And we end up with paragraphs and sentences. Well, AI does is it will read that. And in this case, the internet, right? That's how they're training AI, is that they use the internet. And so it vectorizes the data, right? And so it turns the words into numbers. Interesting thing about, if you think about the old Pythagorean theorem, is that Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared?
I'll trust you.
Formula for a right angle, for a triangle, right? That's all trigonometry and stuff. Well, it turns out that gives you basically a line in 2 dimensions. Well, it turns out that formula works in n dimensions, which is up to infinity. And so instead of a 2-dimensional or a 3-dimensional vector, you have a multi-dimensional vector that we don't know what it looks like because we only conceive like 3 dimensions, right? And so what they do is they put the words out there in these vectors, and then they draw other similarities to them with what they call sequence frequency, right? Like, how often does this word come after this one? And then it does the same thing with the whole context of the sentence, and then it looks back at all the data it has, and it answers your question, right? So it's really behind the scenes, it's all math.
Right.
Okay? So it's not thinking. And that's why if you say, let's take DEI. And the big debate on DEI right now is nobody can prove that it contributes to the bottom line. They say stupid things like, well, Apple and Google and Microsoft all have robust DEI programs, and they're the top companies in the world. Well, DEI all kind of came around. They all adopted it like the same year. If you ever look at it, it's like 2015 is the year. But guess what? They were all the top companies before DEI too. So DEI doesn't do anything.
It didn't change them being the top company.
Exactly. And back then, what do Microsoft, Google, and Apple have in common? Largely male, largely white, and largely Asian. And not very diverse at all, killing it, right? So anyway, if you ask AI about DEI, well, all the literature on the internet about DEI is very positive. So AI will sit there and argue with you about whether DEI is good or not because the preponderance of the information it has says it is. But again, that's the popular answer, not necessarily the right answer. The right answer is nobody can quantify DEI, and it doesn't really contribute to the bottom line. And nobody, it's like, yeah, these companies are doing it kind of because their arms were twisted, and now they're all going the other direction.
Well, they also do it because they can. Like, I don't know if every company could afford to run those programs, to have an extra program they run inside of their business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're right. Like Scottie G doesn't have a DEI program.
Well, there's only me.
Yeah, because you're HR, CEO, CFO, all of that, right?
But what if they required me to have some sort of program and it cost me money and it was only me?
Yeah. I mean, that's where the big industry came in, and like people were training, and you'd outsource the DEI and all this, and the thing about DEI is, and it's all crashing now, is it created its own industry, right? I mean, I think it was like 2013, and I was working for the government. That's when I think I went to my first privilege class.
Really, that long ago, huh?
Mm-hmm. Like, this was under the Obama administration, right? And that's kind of when it really kicked off under Obama. Trump kind of ignored it in his first term, and it got worse under Biden. And this was when the Biden administration, when I left government. But I mean, it was like, it's kind of refreshing to see the way that stuff is going now, because I mean, we had a person and they were like a GS-15, okay? In the government, GS-15 is the top like rank before you become politically appointed. Okay. And you become what's called senior executive service. These are like CEOs of companies, let's say. And we had a person who was a GS-15, and their title was like Director of Diversity, Equity, and what was it called? It was the Office of DEI and Diversity and Conflict Resolution. And like, we were an agency of like 300 people. We don't have that much conflicts. And the diversity stuff that they would do, it was almost insulting. I mean,
well, kind of what I'm hearing you say is like, you got this person in this really high ranking doing a job that maybe doesn't require such a high ranking position, right? Like, it could be done under different, if it was done at all, it could be done under different circumstances.
If it was done, it probably should have been like a GS-13, so Stu steps down, and then under the Office of Management. But it was like its own little fiefdom, separate from everything else, And I'll just say that the person that was in charge of that office was not very smart. It's like, it was tough to talk to her.
Okay, well, and this is just my opinion, but I also think when you start mixing feelings and emotions with business, it's a lot in the same like politics, like the way that the conservative side thinks versus the liberal side of how they spend money and what they do, right? Mm-hmm. That like the person in that position might not be the most logical person. They might be a more feelings and emotional person. That's the job they got hired to do. But like, does that belong inside of business in general? And if you have that inside of business, what kind of person should you put in a position to be able to handle that in a way that it can be productive and not non-productive?
Right. Well, and I think what you have there is so what some people might call mission creep, but I called it mission abandonment. And it was that all of a sudden, if our mission at the OIG, there's an OIG for every department of government. And we were at USDA. And so the mission of OIG is to detect and prevent fraud, waste, and abuse, right? And they do that through audits and investigations. That's the primary mission. And we got to where all of a sudden the mission was coming second to things like feelings, like, oh, we want our employees to be happy first. And it's like, no, mission, employee happiness, whatever else. If you're a business, and this was a problem with government. If you're a business, depending on the business, most businesses, their primary objective is to make money, right? Yeah. I mean, now you might be working for some green business and they want to make the world a better place while they make money, right?
Right.
So
I mean, but like there's charity, and then there's a business,
right?
Right. There's church, no taxes, right? And then there's the rest of us,
right? And that's where government like lose, especially, you know, everybody's afraid about all this stuff that's going on in government. And I'm like, man, I saw it. I was an auditor for 21 years. I worked with those guys, and there are a lot of people that we don't need them because they're doing repetitive stuff. They're doing stuff that's just not important. There's a like, I don't even.
Okay, wait, but do you feel like that's kind of like okay, back to like the barbecue thing, right? You said there's way too many people there.
Yeah.
Right? So why was that? Why was there so many people?
In his case, my buddy's case, it was his first thing, and he didn't know how many. He didn't know, so he wanted to be prepared. So
it kind of feels like that way in government, though.
Except for the government's been around for 200 years, right? This isn't their first rodeo.
Fair.
It was smaller back then, and some people might argue better. Think about like I think a good example. At least in Temple, and I remember in San Antonio, you know, I think local governments generally work very well.
I think so.
You know, especially in Temple, man, which is where I live now. Our city councilmen, they're almost it's not like Congress where they stay there for 20 years. The city councilmen might only be there for 5-10 years max. They don't stay there forever, partly because it doesn't really pay that well. So the people get into it to do good things. And, you know, look at how long it takes to build a school in a place like Austin or Temple versus how long it's taking the government to build the Obama Foundation in Chicago, which is, he's been out of office for 8 years. The thing's still barely under construction. You know, this is going to house his presidential library. Like, it's a debacle. And it's like, you know, if we really wanted to have the government run right, we'd turn it over to Walmart. You ever see how quickly they put up a Walmart? I mean,
well, it's like, you know, every once in a while, Warren Buffett would jump out here and go, I can fix government like right now. But y'all don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
really smart individuals that don't want to be in a political position will go, yeah, like you could fix this real easy. But like, that's not what we're doing here. It's
Right.
kind of like wrestling a little bit, right? The product that you see and what's really going on behind the scenes is two totally different things.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Behind the scenes is cocaine and steroids.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same as the government. It's like,
you know what I mean? But in front, it's like it's this made for TV movie kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Ted Kennedy, right? Like, you would see back, you know, God rest his soul, you would see him out there and the other senators back in the day, and they just bash each other publicly. Behind the scenes, all the senators talked about what a great guy Ted Kennedy was. He gave everybody a card on their birthday, regardless of who they were. Staffers, senators across the aisle, you know, senators within his party. And you'll hear some of these folks, and they talk about each other like really kindly. You know, George Bush, we'll take the other side, the second George Bush. You know, everybody talked about what a Nazi he is. But now that he's removed from office, people that talk with him talk about what a gracious, nice guy he is, you know? And it's just like Bill Maher said the exact same thing about Trump. And he's one of the only, he's a true liberal, not a progressive, but he's one of the only people who's actually met with Trump. And he's like, his basic message after meeting with Trump, and he was invited by Kid Rock, right? His basic message was, trust me, behind the scenes, it's not the crazy you see on the television. And so wrestling right there, you know, I mean.
Well, but I mean, like I guess on some level, politics has always been like kind of entertainment. You know what I mean? Like on TV, you know, you think of debates and things like that, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like, our entertainment now is like politics, sports, and like, I guess like movies or what it's like, or streaming shit or watching shit on the internet, I guess, or whatever, you know?
Well, and it sucks that you make a good point. Politics, I mean, look at YouTube. Politics is entertainment now. You know, there's a lot of politics on YouTube.
I mean, it's entertaining to me in a whole different way.
I mean, there's some of it that just makes me go, Jesus, you know, shake my head. And there's other stuff that's funny. But, you know, the problem I see, and I think we're moving away from it, but I don't like when the politics creeps into my real entertainment. So like, you know, when they start, you know, they start putting social justice messages on people's jerseys and their helmets, I'm just like, dude, I'm here to watch a football game and enjoy football. I don't care at this point in time. Maybe tomorrow we can talk about that. But right now, I want to watch the Dallas Cowboys beat the Bears or vice versa, right? I don't care about your social justice right now. Can I just enjoy my sports? And the same thing with movies.
I'm sporting right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I can social justice before I sport,
and
I
after.
can social justice after I sport. I mean, but I think that's very fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think that's really fair.
Well, that was one of my big things about the whole Colin Kaepernick situation, and it was like, I get what you're doing, man, but to me, that was not the place. Like, if you could do it at your work because you're the boss, but if I did it at my work, I get fired, you know? And so why are we supposed to tolerate this in the entertainment that I pay, you know, $300 a seat to watch just to sit up in the nosebleeds? You know what I mean? It's like, and for a while it was like, I think God bless them, they've moved on, but that stuff was bleeding into like ESPN, and we're sitting here watching a show that's supposed to be about the highlights, and they're talking social justice and in equal pay, you know.
Okay. Do you think that we are more socially aware of each other than we were like in the 1960s and 50s?
Oh God, yes. I think to a fault.
Okay, yeah, fair. Okay, right. So think of it kind of like, I don't want to say a pendulum, but like we have like the 1950s and 60s over here where like it was really bad, right? Like in the way it was going. And then it swung so far that it made it into ESPN, right? So hopefully it's swinging back to a comfortable place where we do have good conversations at the time we're supposed to have them, but we don't have to have them while we're watching basketball. We don't have to have them at church. We don't have to have them in these other places. Let's do what we do in that place and then do this what we do in this place. It doesn't mean you can't have that on your mind or be aware of it.
Right.
You know, I don't know. You might watch a basketball game and you might think of social injustice. Good for you. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good thing that it's on your mind.
Yeah.
But you can't expect everybody to think about social justice while they're watching basketball.
Well, and when you talk about the pendulum swinging, this is a very recent thing. I can't remember the name of the guy, Puerto Rican cat, who's going to be halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Oh, Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny, right?
Yeah.
And this one particular conservative, and I mean, I'm not bashing him, but he decides that this is like woke crap creeping into the Super Bowl, and I'm like, or maybe Bad Bunny is like the most popular artist right now, and maybe they want to market to the Hispanic or the Spanish speaking populations throughout Central America, which, by the way, a lot of people don't know this, Mexico City has a huge Cowboys fan contingent, right? And
Wait, back up. You're telling me there are Mexican people that like the Cowboys?
Totally. It's a huge thing. And that's why they do football games in Mexico now and Brazil and all this. So,
Bro, I thought all the Cowboys fans were Mexican.
What was the joke the guy said? They're trying to do football in Mexico now so the Raiders fans will deport themselves. That was Andrew Scholes said that,
man.
so I'll give that to him. But you know, it's like, no, maybe NFL is trying to reach new markets, right? And I don't blame them. You know, there was a couple of years ago, and my brother and I were talking. Man, the half show, we're like, this halftime show was totally aimed at Gen X, right? And because we kind of have all the money right now, right? You know, I'm okay with that, but that's where now people are so used to that creep, that pendulum swing you're talking about, that I feel like some people are looking for it, right? And so when you say that them hiring Bad Bunny is some kind of social justice thing, I'm like, I see the marketing value in that. You know what I mean?
I think fair or not fair, I think that people hopefully it's people and not bots, but people find things on the internet and they go, okay, that's that dude's opinion. I'm just going to take the opposite side. I'm going to try to stir something up so that I can get some traction on whatever I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like it happens everywhere. It happens like this guy pointing out Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl, or some congressman pointing out something. It's just like, and it's like, what are we trying to do here? You know,
it's information overload. You know, like you were talking about the '60s. In the '60s, you didn't know what, you know, Scottie G in Austin was saying politically because you talked to your neighbors. You used to go and knock on their door.
Nixon got reelected being impeached.
No shit.
I mean,
joke.
yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knew.
Trump got reelected. He was impeached, though.
But what I'm saying is like, no one knew what was going on with Nixon because the news hadn't gotten there yet. He won all but like 2 or 3 states.
Yeah.
While he was getting kicked out of the White House, right?
Right.
And so, like, yeah, we have so much information. I was thinking about this the other day. Okay, the internet is the information highway, right? That's what the internet is.
Information superhighway.
Superhighway.
Yeah.
And that means it's just full of information, right? And there's no one really deciphering what's facts or not, except for us.
Right.
We decide what's facts or not. And then we pull whatever baloney off the internet and we put on our Facebook wall as facts. And then we might get in arguments with people with stuff that's not even facts, and might be defriending people on stuff that's not even facts, that's watered down as it goes to, as you go down the text chain. It starts with an opinion that we don't like, well, a fact that might be an opinion or whatever that they're arguing about. And it's somewhere it gets so watered down, it's like, fuck you. Well, fuck you, right? You're not even talking about the original point, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
all of this is happening on stuff that's not even maybe real. And you haven't even thrown in the fact that maybe these people you're arguing with are bots, right? So now you're arguing with just bots, like random guy on the internet. Do you know it's random guy on the internet?
Right. Yeah.
And so that's just crazy place to be in, right? And I think that the internet is junk food for your brain, right? In that way. So if you're not doing things like listen to audiobooks or listen to podcasts or watching trying to educate yourself in some fashion, learn some new things, YouTube University, right? And you're just taking junk food all day, your brain just and it's almost like no matter how old somebody is, I'll have a conversation with somebody and you're like, oh, you're on the internet a lot.
You got the Google PhD.
Do you feel that?
Yes.
Right?
I mean,
because I'm assuming, I want to give you credit. I think you're a very intelligent person. I don't know. Every conversation
I put on a good face.
Hey, you always feel very intelligent to me, right? And I feel like probably when you look at the internet, you find something on the internet, you go, oh, is that true?
Always.
Right? Everything. Like
recent news, my son texts me, Charlie Kirk just got shot. He texted me like minutes after it happened that day, right? And my first thought was bullshit, right? I figure this is trolling. Somebody's trolling. Somebody out there. And, he sends me, of course, the video was out almost immediately. He sends me the video. I'm like, that's got to be AI, right?
That was crazy, by the way.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And low key, I watch some gore stuff on the internet, whatever.
Doesn't surprise me, unfortunately.
Yeah. So to me, when I watched the Charlie Kirk video over and over, and I'm like, man, that's AI. That's not how people bleed. Well, it turns out it's a freak wound, right? And it was true. But I spent like 5 minutes, like you said, I didn't believe what my son was linking me. I spent 5 minutes making sure it was true because that video hit my son's text and whatever, and he sent it to me before Fox News had a story up about it, or before CNN. And that was kind of what I did. I was like, let's go to Fox, nothing on Fox. Let's go to CNN, nothing on CNN. Well, let's see what the Drudge Report says, nothing.
Right.
It's like they're traveling faster than the news now,
It's wild, right?
But, I'm definitely one of those people, when I hear something absurd, I try to verify it. And thank God for, Snoops, who people say it's kind of left leaning, and they may be in the way they characterize things, but they're pretty good about, hammering out truth.
Who Snoops?
Snopes, Snoopes.
What is that?
That's a website where you can go to dispel internet bullshit.
Oh.
So it can be anything from people mischaracterizing something a politician said to outright fake stories, right? You remember in the early days of the internet, we'd get these you just get these outlandish stories that you couldn't believe, right?
Right.
And, well, Snopes is out there debunking them, right, and telling you the truth, and most of the time. And there's
how do they know?
They do the research. Like they'll tell you,
That's what we need to use AI on.
Yeah. Except AI is going to give you the most popular answer, not the correct answer.
No, right.
So I mean, you got to remember AI. Like we could train an AI model on your podcast.
I was going to say, you know what? I need to start talking good about myself on the internet. That's what I need to do.
You can actually buy Chat GPT, let's say, and get your little fenced off server and train GPT, train a chat bot on your data. And that's what these companies, that's why when you go to Verizon, now Verizon may have their own AI, but let's say when you go to Home Depot, they have a chat bot that will talk to you because
they have their own chat bot.
Yeah, because they took all the conversations that they used to have with the help. Remember the text to help? They took all those conversations and all the questions we asked Home Depot, and they trained the model on that. And so the chat bot will give you the most popular answer based on the text input from Home Depot's old chat. And you almost everywhere now, right? You have to go through the chat bot before you can get to a person. Right. And it's kind of annoying because most of us know when the chat bot can help us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you're like, do you have a chainsaw? Okay, chatbot's going to help us with that. But, my chainsaw broke. How do I execute the warranty? And I want to talk to somebody about it. Chatbot's not going to do anything for you.
McConaughey was on Rogan, and he was talking about how, like, he likes the idea. He uses ChatGPT, and I think he said he uses it a little bit. I can't remember, but he said he liked the idea if he had his own ChatGPT that would hold all of his information away from everybody else, and then he could just talk to it about his poetry and what he's thinking and blah blah blah. But he doesn't want anybody else to be able to access that, so it's his own thoughts. It's not because I don't want it tainted by other people. And I was like, ooh, like I would like that.
See, I think he segues into another problem I have with the internet is the echo chamber, right? And so if you're chatting with a chat bot, that is, I don't know how you train it on your. Does he want to talk to himself? Well, all it's going to do is reaffirm all your beliefs.
Well, I think he wanted it more to like organize his thoughts. You know what I mean? Like to go like, hey, recall this for me. What did I say here? Blah, blah, blah. To be like almost like a personal assistant. That's the way he described it. And I like that because that's the way I use mine. Like I go like say I use it for stuff on the podcast. I'll go, my podcast. And it'll be like, yeah, I know your podcast. I go, well, help me with this. Oh, okay, I'll help you with this. Word it like I say it.
Yeah.
And then it'll kind of word it like I say it. But if that was contained just to me, I would really, because then when they build my little robot helper in the future, I just input that into his brain, right? And then he already thinks like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, technically, if you have enough money, I don't know what the cost is, but I mean, you can buy your own, self-contained chatbot server.
Can you?
Yeah. You can pay Chat GPT and they'll cordon you off. And I mean, I don't know what that costs, but you can do it.
It's gotta be a lot of money though.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. It's probably tens of thousands minimum. And then it depends on how many users you want.
Upgrades and stuff like that, I bet.
How much space you need. Right. I mean, but it's like, the even AI, when you talk to the AI, sometimes it will ask you, hey, how was that answer? And you don't know this, but it remembers you and it remembers the answers you liked versus the ones that you said were not helpful so that it can better answer your questions in the future. Yeah. The problem there is like, it's like YouTube, right? If you watch Scottie, you Just Be with Scottie G and you like it, it's going to suggest more of your clips, right? and then it might suggest some things. Well, Aaron likes Scottie G and Scottie G likes Scottie G, but Aaron also likes this. We're going to suggest this to Scottie G, right? And then you like that, but you get this thing where the internet's always, you end up in an echo chamber because it's always going to feed you stuff you like. You never see anything new, right? That you might not know you like. And then you never see anything that counters your beliefs,
right? Because
you're in an echo chamber. So you're talking into the hall, and the hall's talking back and giving you what you want to hear. And that's the danger of AI and Google and all these guys. YouTube, TikTok is especially if you're a political extremist, it's going to feed you everything to your extreme and never counter your beliefs. And
do you follow stuff that you don't believe in?
I try to. I try to make myself, right? Because of that. I tend to lean conservative.
You follow AOC to keep balance it out.
I watch her stuff because it's entertaining. Because
she's funny.
I think stupid is the word you're looking for. I don't know. I mean, obviously she's got I just don't know who votes for that person because the amount of dumb that comes out of her mouth.
I think.
But I need to know that. Occasionally she says something thoughtful, but.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I do. I tell everybody this, so I don't think it matters. I watch CNN religiously because I live Fox News, right? My in Texas,
all your boys.
I live Fox News. Fox News has been my life, my whole life, right? So I just want to understand what they're talking about, and a lot of times I'm kind of like, no wonder you can't convince anyone on the other side to come to you because you constantly, and both sides kind of do this. You constantly insult the other side.
Well, yeah,
you backhanded compliment the other side kind of thing. And it's like, and it happens on both sides and no one likes it. Mm-hmm. And that's why, and I'm sure, like what you said, once you get down your own little private rabbit hole of that stuff, it seems like the other side is so far away. No matter what your belief in, it could be in anything. It could be religion or something else. No matter how far away, it just becomes that much farther away because you're like, I can't see how someone wouldn't believe X or whatever.
Well, in politics, let's take something that's all over the place right now. They're always trying to, they always try to characterize your position with the most nasty language they can. So like the abortion debate, right? On one side, you're baby killers. You damn baby killers. On the other side, you hate women and you want to take away their rights, right? Both sides, and the truth is a little, one or the other. Yeah, but you gotta, and here I am. I'm like, man, I hate people that want to take away women's rights, and I hate baby killers too. I don't know where I stand, right? My stepdad takes this real neutral position on that. He's like, I think people that can't have babies shouldn't have an opinion, and I'm like, well, not quite that far, but I don't want to hate women, and I don't want to be a baby killer. What do I do? But that's politics, and it's like, the real truth is somewhere in between. And yeah, there's these differences of opinion, but can we not characterize the other side as just, the devil?
So there's black, there's white, and there's always gray, right? And I think sometimes we'll use politics as an example. There's a left and there's a right, and then there's you.
Right.
You are the third party. Since we don't have three parties, you are the third party in that situation, right? And, like, just for shits and giggles, if someone ran for a third party and just everybody decided to vote for that person, they'd win. But it's never going to happen.
I mean, it almost happened with Ross Perot.
But you always get in that argument of like Ross Perot messed it up for somebody. He took away votes from this guy.
He took away votes from Bush, right?
Yeah. And then, and then someone will argue it the other way. And it's like, no. We should have three choices because, like, I think that it's only fair to everyone that lives here to have I'm just asking for one more choice. You know what I mean? But that messes up. This is again we're back to wrestling. You know what I mean? That would be like if, like, I don't know, someone like that. I don't know. Someone that disrupted wrestling in a way that wrestling was not wrestling anymore.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I think the whole left and right, you know, Democrats and Republicans, it's a safety in numbers thing, right? Because there are a bunch of these guys that don't agree with everything this side says, and there are a bunch. I mean, look at this. There's serious rifts in the Democratic Party right now between the social Democrats and the more moderate Democrats, and several of them have hopped the aisle because they were really moderate Democrats, you know, and now, you know, Joe Manchin decided he was going to caucus with the Republicans, and you know, Bernie Sanders technically is a third party. He's a socialist, but he caucuses with the Democrats, right? And it's like, you know, I think that you're making the case for term limits in Congress, and I think that would affect the other races too, because if we have something like term limits, then somebody doesn't have to be so beholden to a party to maintain their position for 20 years because they're only going to be there for 8. You know what I mean? And I think that might split things up a bit where you and I could vote for somebody who likes guns and pot, right? I mean, but like these days, like you and I are probably the only, yeah. And there's a lot of us here in Texas. People don't understand, you know, it's like, yeah, we like guns and pot, not together necessarily, but, you know, and it's like, But if I want my guns, I got to vote for this guy. And he's, you know, look at our freaking lieutenant governor raging against the hemp products, right? We almost lost access to all these legal, regulated hemp products that are clean. And he just wants to make it illegal. And I'm like, you're just going to put it on the black market. People, you know, every state we border, you can cross the border and buy weed. And so people are just going to go back to weed and bring it in. I mean, Colorado, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and I think Louisiana now, it's all legal, you know? And it's like you're forcing people either to do that where they can get it safely, or forcing them onto the black market where, you know, I must confess, I once found a lizard in a bag of Mexican dirtweed, you know, a dead lizard. It's like, I was like, and I'm smelling it. It's like, man, that's some funky stuff. The dead lizard. That's why. I mean,
okay, wait. Okay. You bought a bag of weed,
right?
Like a dime bag,
probably like a quarter.
Okay. And when was this?
Like maybe late 90s, early 2000s.
College? You in college?
Probably college. Maybe early college or right out of high school.
Okay,
right.
It's broken up. It's already broken up.
It's already broken up.
Okay.
It's still a little compressed because remember that stuff would come in a brick.
Okay. Yeah. So who sold it to you? Like,
I can't even remember. It was probably a guy. I think he made it right because I pointed it out to him, you know. But it was like
sir, there's a lizard in my weed. Garçon, there's a lizard in my weed. Okay, so you buy the weed, you take it home, and you smell it just to smell it, and it smells funky.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when do you notice there's a lizard in there?
Because I start pulling it out to like twist one up, and I'm like, what the. Oh my God. And I'm like, now all of a sudden, what I thought was really funky weed, like good funky, right? Man, that's skunky, whatever. Now I'm like, oh, now the smell is really familiar. It's dead, right?
Lizard, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, gaggy, you know? I'm gagging thinking about it. It's like,
you call that guy back up?
Called him back up and said, dude. And he's like, hey man, you know, I'll make it right. And so
he did. He didn't even argue it.
No. I mean, it's
you
like
I had policies in place.
Probably, yeah. I was going to speak to HR.
What's your DEI policy?
Yeah, dude.
All right.
That's because it's the black market is still a meritocracy. There is no DEI. You know, I mean, nobody cares who they're getting it from if it's good.
No. I mean, I really don't know if they made all drugs legal, if a black market would totally go away. But what I think would happen is you would definitely diminish the black market. You would make it safer for people that are going to do those drugs anyway, right? And maybe have some sort of like control on whether people overdose. I mean, it's just like prescription stuff. People are still going to, overdose and abuse it, but maybe you have a little bit more control over it. I don't know, man.
Well, and I don't know about making all drugs, but like weed certainly should be legal. And take Colorado, for example. They're dipping their toe into the magic mushroom realm now. And, but they're still, they've made it legal for you to grow and possess mushrooms that you grow yourself. So what's popped up is all these places where they can't sell the mushrooms, they can sell the kits and all the mediums to make it, and they give you the cultures because the cultures they're not illegal. They don't have any psilocybin in them yet.
Until it grows.
Yeah, until it grows. And you can order these things online. You can look it up. You could have it shipped to Texas. But look, so that's all legal, but there's still a black market because people are growing them at home and then selling what they grow. But likewise, in Colorado, right, the weed is super legal, right? And you can buy like 2 ounces a day. That's the limit. And there's still a black market because on the other side, at some of these stores, you can go in and buy clones, right, of their plants. And then you can grow up to like, I don't know, it's like 10 plants at your home. Well, I mean, that's a ton of weed, man, especially growing indoors with the fucking grow system. That's a ton of weed.
I was kind of sitting back and like, as you're talking and you go, you can buy 2 ounces a day. And like, I mean, I've gone to Colorado and got stuff before, right? But like when I was sitting, you were talking, I was like, 2 ounces. I was like, 2 ounces a day. I mean, that's a lot of weed. Like 2 ounces. Like if people that don't know how much 2 ounces of weed is, that's a lot of weed.
It is. It's a lot of weed, especially the potency. I mean, you're talking the stuff in Colorado is around 30% THC, right?
Yeah.
Which that's high. The stuff that we used to get, the lizard bag from Mexico, it was about 4 to 7%, and but this is the secret there though. And I kid you not, because I was there last week on Laramie Street in downtown Denver. You're supposed to only buy 2 ounces a day, but if you read into it, the rule is this store can only sell you 2 ounces a day. And there's a place in downtown Denver where there are literally 2 recreational shops right next door to each other in the same building. And you can walk into one and buy 2 ounces. That's technically your daily limit, but the stores don't talk. There's no government regulated database tracking your purchases. So you go to the other store right next door and buy another 2 ounces. And 2 blocks away is another store. You can buy another 2 ounces. And, all of a sudden, you're at a pound after you've stopped at what is it? 16 ounces. So you go to 8 stores. And they have this street, I think it's Broadway, and they call it the Green Mile. Because there's so many weed shops. So you could make your way down the Green Mile and,
We have a mutual friend probably that was in the fraternity, and we'll just say in college, me and Denny James went over to purchase some marijuana, right? And at that point I hadn't like bought a lot of weed and stuff like that. And this gentleman that was in our fraternity, he gets out his marijuana and he pulls out a brick. And I was like, what the? I mean, I'd never seen, that was like the most kind of drugs I had seen in one place at one time. And I was like, wow. I was like, it felt so illegal. It felt so dangerous that we were in a house with a guy with a brick. And now I'm just like, you're talking about like, you could buy a pound within like, 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, even at that, with all that regulated stuff, those guys that are growing 10 plants in their basement, that's the black market now, and they sell it. And the big thing there is you don't have to pay tax because there's I think like a 30% levy on all marijuana products in Colorado. So, I mean, you'll never get rid of the black market. I mean, there's still a black market for cigarettes, and those have been legal forever.
Is there?
Oh yeah. Like, well,
what kind of cigarettes are people buying on the black market?
Remember the guy that got choked out in New York City? I can't remember his name. It was right at the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement. he was being arrested for selling loose cigarettes. He was selling that's the black market for cigarettes. Wow. People don't have enough money for a full pack. I mean, they're $10 a pack now.
Wait, he was selling cigarettes he bought?
He had purchased, right.
And then he was selling them
He was selling singles.
Oh,
yeah.
but that is, I guess that's it's still a black market.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it didn't have to start on the black market.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's even bigger, black markets. I mean, I bet somewhere somebody's buying, you can go to some of the Indian reservations and buy your cigarettes tax-free, and they're much cheaper. My dad used to do it in Kansas because there was a reservation real close, and so they figured out they could open these tobacco stores and sell really cheap tobacco because they didn't have to pay all the federal taxes and stuff. And I'm sure people buy those in bulk and then sell those on the black market because, in some places the tax on cigarettes is 100%, I mean, so you're creating a black market right there. I mean,
and I'm going to tell you right now, if I lived in Colorado and I was buying weed, I would buy it on the black market. I wouldn't pay 30% markup.
But it's so cheap.
But like in California, there's no markup and it's cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
I mean, it's one of the stores I went in when I was there was $64 an ounce. So what's 30% of that? $20. So you paid $80 for an ounce of primo stuff. That's still crazy cheap, right? Yeah. I mean, I remember when we first had access to the kind bud, as we used to call it, it was like $125 a quarter.
Oh yeah,
back in the day, and now, god dang, I used to buy the Mexican dirtweed. The lizard bag was usually $25. You could get a half for $35 and an ounce for $55. But shoot, now you can get a quarter in Colorado for cheaper than I could in 1994 off the black market. I mean, it's ridiculous. You can sometimes, some cases, get a quarter for like $20. I mean.
How do you think that lizard got in there?
He was probably in the weed when they harvested it and ended up in the.
But like you said, it was already broken up, right? So somebody.
Well, it was broken off the brick.
But it was still, you still had to get all the sticks.
Like I didn't even see it when I first got it.
Sticks and stems out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like,
because you could get it and it would be.
I just him hanging out in dust, just hanging, and I was just like,
yeah, no, I can remember one time, I getting one and it was like flat. It was like a quarter, but it was flat and it was this big because it had just been peeled off the brick. It was like this big and then this thick, and it was a quarter. And I, you had to break it up and pick all the seeds out. I mean, God, I can't imagine picking seeds out of weed this day and age.
Yeah, I'm too much of an adult at this point to be doing stuff like that.
This final segment is brought to you by HeyJustBe.com. I believe that achieving balance in the mental, physical, and metaphysical aspects of your purpose through learning, serving, and creating can transform your life into one you truly enjoy living. Want to learn more? Visit www.heyjustbe.com.
All right. So how I wrap this thing up is I ask people what they do to just be the best version of themselves so they can be good for everybody else. I'm going to get Aaron to do that for me, but I also, at the beginning of our conversation, we were talking about, like, you doing kind of almost like the second career, right, of doing barbecue, right? Mm-hmm. And that your buddy kind of was like, hey, this guy bailed out. I need somebody. And I'm assuming the guy he had was like some sort of like barbecue guy or something like that, right? Something.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, you want to come do this? And you're like, sure. Right? And you've never done anything like that. Mm-hmm. So kind of talk to, kind of what you learned maybe about yourself and that experience, and like what made you kind of willing to take on that challenge and not like back down to it. Maybe how it made you better, how it made you a better person like moving forward. Because I got to think when you do things like that, you learn stuff about yourself and you learn things that benefit you not only in that job, but maybe other places, right?
Yeah. So what did I learn about myself? Well, I think, as I told you, the whole trip was a series of successes and follies, right? And the successes, it generally came around, conquering those follies, right? And here's my buddy. He's leveraged everything he has, right? He owes money on the trailer, you know, he's rented this house, you know, he's paid to be at the base of the slope for the X Games. And it was like, hey, my thing was, I'm just going to help out my buddy. He's in a pinch. I've got some leave, you know.
I'm not doing anything.
I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I was working, but it's just like, let's just take the leave. You know, I had a ton of leave at the time, and you know, and he's like, yeah, man, we'll figure out some kind of compensation when it's all said and done, right? And it was just, you know, it's not like I had kitchen experience, but in a structured kitchen, you know, and I knew how to smoke meat, but it was just kind of like, you know, hey, with a little bit of planning, I think we can do this. And, you know, my buddy's in a pinch. I want to help him out, you know? I figured I look at when we do that, it's kind of it's a test of character and, fortitude, right? Because when you do these things, man, you're up at 6 a.m, right? And in this case, it was the winter in the mountains of Colorado, February. So it's cold. Now the bonus is we're working around a barbecue pit the whole day. So we do have some warmth, and we're moving. And honestly, the weather gave us a little bit of a break. It wasn't like, you know, 0 degrees, but you know, you're working these long hours and you've been in an office job forever. And it's like hell week, man.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've all to the viewers that don't know what Hell Week is, it's like boot camp for fraternity brothers. Well, for pledges anyway. Yeah. You just kind of, you know, even for me, like this past month, it was like, can I still do it? You know, I'm 50 years old. Can I still do that? I'm about to be 50. And then, you know, just the initial time, it was like, you know, hey, you know, I can do this. And I guess I learned a lot about improvising and persevering because, you know,
you didn't have a choice, really.
We didn't. No, it was like, there were some days though, you know, you just wanted to throw your hands up and quit because, you know, the truck is stuck. We can't even get to the job site, you know, in retrospect, the big diesel refrigerated truck that wasn't plugged in ended up being a minor problem, but it was still like, you know, oh God, what are we going to do now? And I'm sure there were some other follies there too, but it is overall is like just kind of a mental and physical test. And then on top of that, you know, this is my good buddy. We've been friends since college. He and I went to the same middle school together, but we were just acquaintances back then. And it's like, you know, I'm help him out, you know, and now, you know, he does this. He actually has another business now, and this is his side hustle. But I mean, you know, he's making $300,000 a year selling turkey legs and sausages. And I helped him start that, you know.
That's amazing.
Now we were doing pork butt and brisket, and over time he learned that's too much trouble. I can make more quicker just selling sausage and turkey legs, which is much less labor. Now there's still a whole lot of setup, and it's still a test when you go out there. Cause I mean, you know, you gotta set up a portable restaurant, you know, in 2 hours. and then before that, you gotta get all the stuff to get it to the portable restaurant and load it all into a truck, you know, and then unload the truck, and then, you know, keep everything cold and then keep things hot once it's hot, you know, and then thank God it's in Colorado and not Texas, because, you know, it was really nice when we were there. You know, I mean, you're out and you're in the sun and you could feel the sun's warmth, but you're not really sweating. Versus, you know, here you'd just be dying. I don't know how these hawkers here in Texas do it. It's like,
what do you think had a bigger impact on you? The kind of the lesson of perseverance of, like, you know, kind of doing this again and again, and I can still do this, and the pressure comes along with it, and how the reward of that, or just like serving your buddy?
I mean, early on, helping my buddy down the road, that was 20 years ago or something.
He's been doing this for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not. Right at 20 years. It was like 2006. So 19 years, now it's more about perseverance and it's just like, I think there's a part of it that goes, yeah, I don't want to do this for a living. You know what I mean?
You're kind of reminding yourself you don't want to do it for a living.
Yeah, kind of reminding myself it's better to work smarter than harder, And I mean, and granted, there's some smarts that go into, that whole thing and he's got to get the events and develop the business and refine his overall operation. But man, at the end of the day, it's you do a full week's work in about 3 days, and it's tough on the body. And it's like, it's part of the reason he started his new job. He does sports memorabilia, cards, all kinds of stuff. And he's been apparently just killing it. He had to figure out something else to do during COVID because he couldn't sling turkey legs and sausages. And so he pulls out his old baseball card collection and figures out he's got, some cards, and he starts learning about the card business again and starts trading cards and buying cards. And finally he opened up a shop. And I mean, I was there this week and he must've bought $10,000 worth of cards while I was there. And, he's got jerseys. He had this really cool painted signed Michael Jordan basketball stuff. You'd dig. You'd love his shop. I mean, and it's cool. Small. It's a teeny little shop in Castle Rock, Colorado, but he's, he got a $12,000 Josh Allen card on the wall, and graded cards and stuff like that. But it's pretty and good for him. I keep asking him, I was like, he already says the turkey leg business is now a side hustle. I was like, when is the income from this store going to be enough where you're just like, I'm not jacking with that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, but dude, I can make some of these events. I can make $40,000 in a weekend. And I'm like, yeah, but what's your peace of mind and your time with your kids worth? You know what I mean? It's like, which is where, you had that little one word thing that describes you. And I had to think about that really hard. And I finally came up with family because like most of the decisions I've made financially and otherwise were keep my family stable and to be around my family, because my dad, he was not around much. He was in the military and my parents were divorced. So it's like, you got to find that balance. And I think I've always kind of prioritized the family, get a lot of happiness out of that.
But you had, so you had your son at 25 roughly?
Yep.
So family, are having someone that depends on you. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's where kind of family kind of starts, right? Mm-hmm. It's been happening for you for a long time. Cause as you were talking, I was thinking family has become really important to me in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? With my little one. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's totally fine not to have kids and it's totally fine to have the kind of family you want to kind of have. But I think to not have the appreciation for it, like you're talking, you're really missing something,
and there's nothing against people who don't have kids or don't want to have kids, but I kind of don't. I wonder what our purpose is if we don't have kids. Your what's your legacy? What did you really pass on to the next generation if you don't have a next generation? I don't quite like, even my brother who doesn't have kids, he wanted them really bad. He just never found the right girl, and it's like, I talk to people that are, I have a good friend who lives out in Baltimore and, he's almost my age and doesn't plan on having kids. And I'm just like, and he's dealing with some serious depression. And I'm like, you know what? When you have kids, you don't have time to be depressed. It's like, you always have something to do. You got a dirty diaper to change. You got he stole your truck and ran it into a tree. It's like,
for me, it's been more of like the things that she asked me and showed me remind me that I don't have anything to be depressed about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then she's also at that age still, so she's really young. But for me, it's just a good reminder that your life's really good.
Yeah.
The fact that she has food, water, and shelter, and two people that love her and stuff like that. I mean, this is a good life.
How old is she?
She's just 5. She just turned 5. It's crazy,
like
man.
My grandson's 2 this year, and it's like, Just wait till you think this is good. Just wait. The grandparent part is better.
I know, but I don't know if I'll make it that far,
you'll
bro.
be all
Because
right.
by the time she's 20, I'll be, wait, she's 5. I'll be like 65 or something like that. Like she'd have to get to work to like, the next 5 years, and I got to be alive. I mean, there's so
Maybe-
much that happened in between there.
Don't hit me, but maybe you get lucky and she has her first kid at 13.
But like sometimes I think that like, if she say she got pregnant at 18 or something like that or whatever, like one, I feel like she'd have a supportive bus to support her. Like I wouldn't be like abandon my kids like a lot of people probably do and stuff like that. And two, like, God bless people to kind of have kids like really early because you get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be 50 and have a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. Like that's a different kind of life.
I mean, and I look at a lot of you guys like Jody and Denny even, right? Yeah. I think Jody's kids are all tweens,
Roughly, and Denny's are too,
and Denny's are too. But I'm like, fuck, man, my kid's been out of the house for 6 years. Okay. And it's like, I remember the stories we'd have, especially with some even family members. And I can't remember Jody or Denny ever saying this, but what I heard a lot from our generation was, oh, we're gonna just enjoy life right now while we're young and have fun and do this and that. And we're gonna have, kick the kids down the road. And I didn't think much of it back then, but I look at it now and I'm like, how dumb is that? So when you're poor and you don't have any money, you're gonna, go and party and do all this when, man, Patrick was out, Patrick was 18 and I was 46,
And you had money.
I'm in good health and I have money and now I can do really fun stuff. Right. And now I really know what I like. What are you doing at fucking 24? You're blowing it on booze and, stupid shit. Right. Now it's like, maybe we'll take a trip to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, just to go enjoy nature or whatever it is we want to do. Want to go to Yellowstone.
Maybe I'll buy a new pair of sneakers.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, nothing makes me happy like, honestly, I love these Under Armour shirts, the dry fit. Nothing makes me happy like going buy a new one.
Really?
Yeah. And now they make the golf shirts out of this material, man. Oh, that's heaven.
I'm really cutting back on my shoe buying. But I'm getting into the idea of like that. Again, family, this experience of what we have. We took my daughter to a tree house for her birthday that was on some land where an Airbnb was, and they had some chickens out there and they run around. And I was like, oh man, I could do this like every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like different things have become important to me, especially as the idea of family or what my life is going to be has changed, Well, did you have a good time?
Man, yeah, I enjoyed it. I was a little, like I told you, I was a little bit nervous at first for, I don't know what. It's not like there's an audience here. I got all these movie stars or rock stars looking at me, but
you got the Barbara.
yeah.
Did you notice that the Barbara is all Barbara?
You got a whole wall of Streisand there.
Yeah, Barbara.
Yeah.
That's the Barbara, bruh.
And is that Chris Christopherson and her?
Yeah, they were in what's that? Stars Born. They were the
the original
Stars Born.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's funny how for both of those movies, her and Lady Gaga, they picked two girls with the schnoz.
Do you know, like, there are pictures on that wall of Barbara Streisand where I'm like, wow, she looks really attractive.
Yeah.
And then there's other pictures where I'm like, God, her nose is big.
Well, I feel like Lady Gaga is the same way, right?
Yeah.
Like her in A Star Is Born, when she's like really simple, just kind of,
it's
she
better,
looks really
right?
natural and she looks really pretty. And then, she goes and puts a blonde wig on, and I feel like she makes her makeup to make herself look more awkward.
It's probably, if I had to guess, it'd be like the eyes, the way the eyes inset when they look farther back. It's gonna make it look. I have no idea. That sounded good though.
You missed your career in makeup, man.
Yeah. You want to give me a hug?
Oh, sure.
Push that mic out.
Oh, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you, man.